We're going to have a really fascinating evening with a really remarkable gentleman, and he is a gentleman. This is somebody whose talent and drive took him to the epicentre of the Manchester punk scene in the mid to late 70s at a very young age, amongst everything that was going on then. That then placed him at the absolute centre of the post-punk scene, alternative scene, the counterculture in Manchester in the early 80s and across the 80s, and thereby at the centre of the alternative music scene in this country across that time. That would make for a remarkable rock biography, and this is that, and it's so much more. Swerve, Dub Sex and Other Stories are published by Root, who are here this evening. What sets this book apart is the remarkable start in life that Mark had and how that informed his journey. We're in for a fascinating evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the remarkable Mr. Mark Hoyle. Welcome to Bury.
Thank you.
Not your first time here?
Not my first time here, no.
Mark's going to get ready, and Mark was here 45 years ago yesterday for a gig that's gone down in Joy Division history, musical history. It's portrayed in the film 24-Hour Party People. Mark's going to tell us about it. Yay!
So I'd have to read you the whole chapter really to get the whole picture, but basically a lot of people haven't seen Joy Division, but they read about them and it was interesting to them and what's going to go on. They were like bated breath really. And Factory as a thing, you know, Factory bands had a kind of a internalised kind of behaviour. It wasn't like, okay, Bury, you're the centre of rock and roll, happy, you know, it wasn't like that. It was shy and looking into yourself and not, you know, anyway, basically, it was a challenging night. So, the mood of the assembled audience was beginning to change. Things were running late, and the evening's entertainment so far had been challenging, to say the least. The weird supergroup ground to an end. Next, Joy Division walked onto a relieved cheer. And after what seemed like ages, it launched into Love Will Tear Us Apart, an unreleased song that had aired on their last John Peel session. At this point, disgruntled murmurs started to travel around the audience. "That isn't Ian Curtis," shouted one unhappy punter. And of course they were right. Alan Hempsall, from Frisbee Ambulance, low-registered vocal, suited the song perfectly, but united the local contingent of hard-to-please skinheads into one betrayed mass. It was as if they only come to be disappointed, and the air was alive with catcalls. A Curtis-less digital followed. The atmosphere got worse as part of the audience got the feeling that they'd been cheated. The song ended, and to everyone's relief, Ian Curtis walked on. He looked pale and withdrawn, but then again he always did. Unknown to me and to the assembled crowd, he attempted to take his own life with an overdose of phenobarbital only a day before. Peter Hook, in hindsight, said that the gig should never have taken place. There was another long pause before the band started on a synth-heavy version of a new song, Decades. Ian Curtis, eyes shut, was lost in the music. But after this and the following song, The Eternal, it seemed like it was all too much for him, and he left the stage again. This was the last straw for many negative elements present. An offended booing broke out in the hall, especially behind me, and slightly to my right. It was the obnoxious ringleader, and his crew were the epicentre of trouble when I'd been here before. I planned an escape route in case any fighting broke out, and turned my attention back to the stage where Section 25 Vinnie Cassidy, along with Simon Topping, Alan Hempsall, and the rest of Joy Division started a sprawling jam version of the Velvet Underground's Sister Ray. It only took a slight change in atmosphere for things to turn nasty. A pint glass was thrown from the place the shaven-headed troublemaker was standing with his cronies, and this started off a chain reaction of thrown bottles. As clubs of hand-to-hand combat broke out simultaneously in different parts of the room. All hell broke loose. This was real Wild West stuff. I took cover, making myself invisible, flat to the wall. I watched the Joy Division roadies leap into action, fighting back the troublemakers with fists and microphone stands, as Rob Gretton entered the fray, trying to protect the band's gear and steaming in things himself to considerable effect. The lights came on and revealed that the place was wrecked. Chairs, blood, broken glass, and shaking people littered the hall. Mark, Dave and Reg from Chameleons' commitment to clean up the empty glasses at the end of the night was now comically redundant. There was plenty of glass, but it was all smashed. Splintered pint pots, broken spectacles, and the remains of Derby Hall's chandelier sparkled among pools of blood. I was okay, and my friends were too, but this was the worst violence I'd ever seen at a music event. I was shaken up in a big way. I found Mark, David and Reg were taking refuge backstage. Mark actually talked to Ian Curtis, who mentioned their upcoming American tour. He apparently seemed really distant and sad. Although following a night like that, I think anyone would be. There had only been 3 more Joy Division performances after this one. And 5 weeks later, on the 18th of May, Ian Curtis was found at a family home having taken his own life. He was 23 years old.
Really well read, thank you.